G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of my FC24 Chelsea Career Mode series. I'm not gonna lie, being a Chelsea fan right now is very frustrating. Watching our team play is putting me into a mood of melancholy. I just am not impressed by what I've been seeing on the field in recent weeks, and it really does bring into question Maurizio Pochettino because things are not quite manifesting in the way that I would have expected at this point in the season, and question marks are being asked of the owners, of the hierarchy. What are the standards of the club and why have we allowed it to get to the state that we have, and what are the reasons for that? And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm going to be exploring some thoughts on what's been happening in recent weeks as the gameplay goes on in the background. The first bit of breaking news, and the reason why I've just sat down in the front of the camera and I'm talking to you right now, is because Jose Mourinho has been sacked by Roma. Big plot twist there. I did not expect that. I don't follow the Serie A closely, but I know that he has accomplished many great things for that club in the most recent seasons, getting them to European finals, winning some, losing some, not very gracefully, but still performing at a very high level given the budget and the surroundings that he's got at his disposal at Roma. But they have decided to part ways. I don't know much of the details. It is still a breaking news story. So it's one of those situations where Mourinho, he has had such a glittering career. You really have to admire it because he's accomplished so many great things. But of course, how it relates to Chelsea is there have been lots of people, lots of Chelsea fans specifically, that are calling for the head of Maurizio Pochettino and think we should be beheading him and getting in a replacement. And now that Mourinho is a free agent and is on the market, potentially looking for a new job, I don't know if the right time is for him to slot straight into his next job. I think most managers should have that cooling off period to sort of reset, go on a holiday, then go again. But I am in the position where I am saying no to Jose Mourinho at Chelsea. And the reason I say this, and I mentioned this a little bit last year when we were in FIFA 23 during my career mode, I don't think Jose Mourinho is the type of manager that gets the best out of young players and nurtures them and has patience with them and is able to sort of build a squad from youth and then develop them over a period of time. He strikes me as the manager that demands elite performances from day one, and if you're not good enough, you get put in the bin. And if Jose Mourinho hypothetically was to get appointed as the new Chelsea manager replacing Pochettino, I just don't think he would be the right fit for the profile of players that we've got at our disposal right now. Will he make a dramatic impact straight away in the positive sense? Potentially. It's one of those unknowns. He definitely has very high standards. He's a tactical genius. He's accomplished so many good things in the past, and I would happily see him in the dugout at Stamford Bridge once again, but now is not the right time. I don't think Mourinho has the patience to develop and nurture this young team, and Poch does, in my opinion. And that's why I still am in the boat, despite everyone losing their minds in recent weeks over Pochettino. I'm still in the boat of staying with Pochettino. Poch in, we've got to get to the end of the season with this guy. Because sacking him at this current stage would just be very foolish, in my opinion. Because then you've got to get a replacement. What elite managers are going to take this job, midway through the season? For a lot of managers, they might not even find this project very appealing. And the candidates that we had sort of before Pochettino was appointed, the likes of Luis Enrique, Julian Nagelsmann, they are, some of them have already moved on to other jobs, but others I just don't think would be a right fit. And as much as I'm skeptical about Pochettino, I do think he is the right fit for taking on these young players, developing them, making them better, and making this cohesive, strong, fit team work and be really powerful on the pitch. In saying that, it has become incredibly excruciating in recent fixtures because the performances have been not good enough. I think to our previous FA Cup game, where we came out in the first half and were half asleep, not paying attention, didn't play very well, come out in the second half after hopefully getting a smack on the bum, being sent back out in the second half and getting the job done. But then, a couple of days later, we go to Middlesbrough away in the Carabao Cup and we lose 1-0. And in my opinion, that is wholly unacceptable. And this season so far has been severely underwhelming, and Mauricio Pochettino has had the grace of the fans and has had their support for a very long time, but when the results constantly are unsatisfying, fans are going to get grumpier and grumpier, and I think that Middlesbrough result was the turning point where a lot of fans flipped the table and decided, no, this guy, he is a fraud, he's not for us, Pochettino out. And for me personally, I am not someone who thrives on negativity. I don't like it when our fan base is divided and we're not sure what's happening and we're all super distressed by what we're seeing on the field and not getting results, because it is just simply not good enough. We don't have leaders in the dressing room that are going to hold us to high standards and make us get results and pull us over the line. Thiago Silva is really the only one that comes to mind, but he's only one man. And there's 11 that stand on the pitch and play football. So for me personally, I look to other pundits in the media who aren't Chelsea fans, and I like to hear their perspective on our club, because they are looking at it from an outsider's perspective and analysing with a lens of objectivity. I know that there's always a bit of bias and fan rivalry that we love to get involved with. And there was one person who many of you guys would probably know, Jamie O'Hara, Tottenham fan, former player. Not someone I take much credibility from, but he did say one thing in recent days that I thought was very poignant and very spot on.
Where's your the player who's going to step up in a big moment and take the club on his shoulders? It's Cole Palmer. He's come from Manchester City. Where is them players? I look at them in Chelsea and I think I think they're awful. I watched that game as well and I thought they were absolutely shocking. Chelsea Football Club, who spent £1 billion, been one of the most successful clubs in the world for a long period of time, their levels have dropped so far, it is scary. They're like Manchester United, worse than Manchester United. They used to have levels when John Terry was there, Frank Lampard was like that. We do not get beat. These levels do not go under this. You are a 9 or 8 or 9 out of 10 every single week. If you're a 7, you're getting done by the scruff of the neck in the dressing room by John Terry and Frank Lampard and the gaffer saying that ain't good enough. They don't have that anymore. They've got no winners and no leaders in that dressing room. It's scary to see how far they've fallen.
I think he's bang on the money, and it's painful being a Chelsea fan right now, because me personally, looking at our team, the individuals that we have, yes, they've all been assembled this season. Some of them have come from overseas and are coming into new surroundings, learning a new language, adapting to complete strangers that they've never met before and are now having to work with them on the pitch and, put out elite level performances. It's not easy, guys. It's so difficult. And to perform at a Premier League level for 90 minutes, week in, week out, it's very difficult, and it's a lot of pressure and a lot of expectations put on these young players, and some of them have not quite coped and lived up to the billing. And what disappoints me most is that we're going into games and we're either losing them in embarrassing fashion, or if we are winning them, we're not winning them convincingly. We're like getting over by the skin of our teeth. We're like crawling to the finish line. I think of our last performance against Luton in the Premier League, and we go up by 3 goals and then we almost blow it. It's embarrassing. Like, results like that really just put me on a knife's edge, and I'm just so borderline on the brink of insanity, because it is just unbearable watching those sort of games when you think easy win, going away to Luton. They are definitely not to our standard, and yet we barely get over the line and beat them. And then, you have other results like Middlesbrough, which is a must-win game. We should be easily breezing past them. And then you get Pochettino come out in the media and say stupid things like, oh, well, other teams have lost to Middlesbrough. They're a decent outfit, blah, blah, blah. We've got injuries. The injury situation is definitely not ideal. However, the players that we still do have at our disposal, we have enough talent and quality on the pitch to be still performing far better than we have been so far. And the Middlesbrough game was the worst game to use that excuse for, because Middlesbrough also have a shitload of injuries. And to roll that excuse out, I think post-match was a huge mistake from Pochettino, and again added fuel to the fire, because it's a ludicrous thing to say. Losing to a championship side that are sitting in the midst of it, they're not even competing for the honours there. They've got a massive injury situation, and then we still can't beat them. It's just absolutely embarrassing and unacceptable. And I totally understand why many Chelsea fans spat the dummy and have given up on Pochettino and want him out the door. I get it. I really do get it. And I honestly am mostly disappointed by our midfield situation, because when we bought all these amazing talented players, I thought, especially with Pochettino, who in the past has always been a very powerful team that are very high tempo, high energy, high pressing, and like to keep the ball and lots of tiki-taka movement. When we bought the third best defensive midfielder in the Premier League last season in Moises Caicedo, when we bought Enzo Fernandez, who was the best young player at the FIFA World Cup and won the damn thing, when we bought Cole Palmer, who was a mostly unknown but promising young kid coming out of the Manchester City Academy and who has hit the ground running. When I look at that triangle in midfield, you've got Moises Caicedo playing defensive midfield, Fernandez playing box to box, in centre midfield, and then Palmer, who really should be playing as our centre attacking midfield. When you've got that combination, that midfield should be doing so much better and competing at the very top in terms of dominating the field, dominating our passing, and getting the ball forward and controlling it in our attacking third. And I've talked about this previously in this career mode series. I've used that tactics board that I've used with coaching before to explain this. But we just have the ball so often in the middle of the park, passing from side to side. There's no penetrating runs and passes into the middle of the park to a central striker or over the top into wingers who are able to, go at defenders and really put them under pressure. It just simply isn't quite coming together. And with those players, when they're fit and firing, which they have all been in recent weeks, we should be doing far better, especially against weaker opposition like Luton, like Middlesbrough, and I also against the likes of, Wolves on Christmas Eve. Like, that result, I think, was the turning point for me in terms of me becoming a lot more skeptical and a lot more disappointed with the performances that we're putting in, because that was a game that we should have easily put to bed, no thanks to that sterling, selfish behaviour where he didn't pass it to Palmer and, square ball, sweaty goal it into the back of the net. It's just stuff like that. Like, it just really does piss me off, because there's no excuse for that sort of stuff at the highest level, in my opinion, because those decisions, those little mistakes cost you points. And when you're performing at the highest level, when the pressure is so high, you just can't afford for it. You just cannot allow it to happen. And honestly, with the midfield situation, I really did think we would be dominating teams and dispatching them so much better than we would be at this point of the season. And I understand Nkunku's been out injured and he hasn't been able to contribute in that attacking midfield / striker role this season. But I don't know. Even though Armando Broja has not performed and has not hit the ground running this season, I still think there's plenty of support around him with Sterling on the left, Mudryk, Noni Madueke, who's come out and made a statement recently. But there's just, I don't know. I just think it's not good enough. The players that we've got, the tactics that we're implementing, we need to be doing better. And as a fan base, we need to let the players know that it's just not acceptable and maintain that pressure on them, because as fans, it's the only way we can get our voices heard, is showing our disapproval when things don't go our way. And if we're not winning and not competing for top honours, it's going to be a very slow and steady decline to mediocrity. And that's where we are currently, in mid-table. And I don't want to become a case of, being similar to Manchester United, where the standards slowly get ebbed away, where the culture disintegrates and, all the fans become frustrated. Or we become like Everton, where you spend a lot of money, the team doesn't work out, and then you get financially crucified by FFP, which we are seeing is happening to Everton right now, which is, again, very sad to see, but the rules are the rules. The rules are flawed. It is what it is. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the second leg against Middlesbrough. It's at home. It's at Stamford Bridge. We have the advantage, but being down by a goal to nil is obviously not ideal, which means Michael Carrick's side, they're going to sit deep. They're going to be implementing a low block of sorts, I would assume, playing on the counter and just holding out and probably, looking forward to a siege and hopefully surviving it, because our biggest weakness so far this season is we are not creating enough opportunities in the attacking third, and we just don't score enough goals when we create big chances. It's our biggest weakness so far this season. Nicholas Jackson no longer at our disposal. He's off competing for international honours, and Armando Broja has just not delivered. And I just don't think he's the striker that is going to carry us to glory anytime soon. Yes, I think he's one for the future. Yes, I want to keep him. Yes, he should be a part of our squad as a second or third alternative. But as of right now, I think it's clear that he's just not quite good enough, which is really unfortunate, which is where we come to another bit of breaking news. And you guys would have seen it on the thumbnail. Jose Mourinho was there, but also Karim Benzema, one of the best strikers in world football in recent years, a Ballon d'Or winner, and is, in my opinion, even though he's gone to Saudi Arabia and has collected a king's ransom, and his reputation might not be what it once was, I still think he's top 5 strikers in the world right now. The quality is undeniable. Whether he's able to compete at a Premier League level, I don't know. It's like many things. I think Victor Osimhen would be a great option for us next season, but would he be able to compete in the Premier League? I don't know. Romelu Lukaku, we thought was going to be the last puzzle piece to really bring our squad together a couple seasons ago. And look how that turned out. So buying players from other leagues who are impressing there don't always work out in the Premier League, which is why players with Premier League experience go for very high fees. You think of Declan Rice, Moises Caicedo, and I just don't know. But Karim Benzema has come out in recent days and has sort of made a name for himself because he's not turned up for training for his team in Saudi Arabia. And there's a bit of discontent in his camp. And as a result, when these things happen, rumours start to circulate that he is looking for an exit and is looking to move away from there back into Europe and hopefully, get some more minutes in Europe before he retires. And as a result, because Chelsea desperately need a striker, we need a goal scorer, those links get made. And I've seen lots of Chelsea fans weigh in on this. I've seen some fans say yes, bring him in on a 6-month loan. We desperately need him. Bring him in, please, please, please. And I've seen some guys be like, no, he would be counterintuitive to the training and development of Armando Broja and would inhibit his ability to improve and get Premier League minutes for the rest of the season, especially with Jackson out for several weeks. So I can see both sides of the coin. I would not be opposed to Benzema coming in as a hitman for 6 months and helping us out to the end of the season to hopefully secure a form of European football and hopefully secure the Carabao Cup or FA Cup. Would it happen? I don't know. I don't think it's one of those situations where I think Pochettino and the board would go for a move like that. It doesn't really suit the profile of our squad. He's obviously quite old now, mid-30s, definitely beyond his prime, and has decided to collect a paycheck instead of playing at the highest level in football. But he's won a Ballon d'Or, so I don't blame him. He's won that, he's won plenty of trophies, now he's collecting a king's ransom. Fair play, full credit to the man. So when you think about the psychology of all those, all that different perspective that you apply to Benzema, is he the right man to then bring into this situation where we are struggling and we need someone who, yes, has experience and yes, has quality in front of goal? I don't know. It's one of those ones where I think more could go wrong with it than could go right. And some people would say, why not? Just throw some money at him, get the deal over the line. It's only a loan. How could it hurt? And yes, I understand that perspective, but for for me personally, I am of the opinion that signing a striker in January would be a mistake. It doesn't matter if it's Victor Osimhen or that kid from Sporting Lisbon that I think we've been rumoured with, or Karim Benzema. I agree with the portion of the fan base that is in the boat of thinking Armando Broja needs minutes in Premier League. He needs to build up momentum coming back from a long injury and just improve. And I understand it's frustrating, and I do still am of the opinion that Chelsea is one elite striker away from being a top level side, because we create big chances. If we dispatch them and put them in the net, then we're cooking. We really are. But in this moment, it is Pochettino's job as a coach to make these players better. And as of right now, I'm not seeing a lot of individual improvement in drastic ways so far. I think Mudrik's probably been the one that's improved the most, but even he's still not getting regular starting 11 football. So Pochettino, his job for this season is to make Broja better, to make Jackson better when he comes back from international duty. It is his job to make those two strikers better at their job and instill a confidence in them to get goals. And I understand confidence is a huge part of that, and scoring goals brings you confidence, but it's as simple as that. I think we need to stay with Broja and Jackson, and obviously Nkunku's going to come back from injury, which I think he'll probably slot into a striker role for the foreseeable future. But I think that's the way to go. I think bringing Karim Benzema, whilst it would be a headline grabber for sure, whilst it would be exciting, and if it was to happen, I wouldn't say no and I wouldn't be upset by it. But me personally, I do not think bringing Karim Benzema to Stamford Bridge would be a wise move in the long-term development of this squad. Would it be good in the short term? Maybe. But I'm not in the business of working on maybes. I'm in the business of getting a blueprint, which Todd Bowley and the ownership has created for us, has given to Pochettino, and it's now Pochettino's job to put the puzzle pieces together with these young players, get them cooking in a midfield and getting them working in the attacking third and scoring more goals. And at the end of the day, Pochettino, he can do all the magic, all the wizardry from behind the scenes and get these players working really well. But when they go onto the pitch, it's the players that are ultimately the ones dictating how things unfold. And if they don't score these goals, you can't really blame Pochettino for that. So that's my 10 cents worth. And hopefully you guys agree with me. But if you don't, I wouldn't be surprised. Let me know your comments down below. I would love to engage with you there. And let's have a conversation and exchange ideas, because it's certainly one that has gained lots of momentum on social media and lots of people have their thoughts. I think that's pretty much it. I think I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you've made it to this stage of the video, you're obviously enjoying this series and have enjoyed this video to some extent. So make sure you smash that like button. I would appreciate it. And hopefully for the rest of the season, things are going to be moving in a forward direction. But being a Chelsea fan right now, it is very frustrating because we should be doing so much better with the talent at our disposal, and it's just not happening. And I feel like it's very much a case of one step forward, two steps back. And Pochettino is ultimately to blame for that. Yes, there's many circumstances surrounding him that are not ideal, but at the end of the day, he's the one that picks the players. He's the one that picks the tactics. And ultimately, we should be doing better. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. And if you have, make sure you hit the subscribe button, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you in the next episode, where we have Liverpool coming up and our second leg in the Carabao Cup. Must-win games, but we'll have to wait and see. Thanks so much for watching. Come on, you Blues.